Expenses and budgets. Money always goes faster than you think, so it's important to have a budget. A budget is simply a plan on how to spend your money. It will include both fixed and variable expenses. A fixed monthly expense occurs regularly each month and does not change in the amount. A variable monthly expense might occur regularly, but the amount may change. Insurance might be car insurance or renter's insurance or home insurance, and it's a fixed expense typically. Food can vary depending on what you choose to eat that month. Rent or a mortgage, which is the payment on your house or where you're living, would be a fixed expense typically. So would a car payment because you've made a contract to pay for the car. Electricity could vary or it could be fixed depending on the plan you choose. Entertainment can vary. You could go to the movies or you could stay home and watch Netflix. Your gym membership, typically that's a fixed expense. You sign a contract for it and they take it out of your account. Savings, you could have the same amount each month or you could just save what's left over. It's better for it to be a fixed expense, but it works both ways. Clothing is typically variable because you can spend more on a shirt or less on a shirt at each month. You can display your budget in a table or in a circle graph of 100%. So let's say that your rent is $1,250 and we know the entire family budget is $5,000. So if it's $1,250 out of $5,000, that's a part to total comparison that reduces 1 to 4, and that would tell you that you are spending 25% on rent. In the same way, if they give you a percent, so they tell you taxes is 16%, you would say 16% of 5,000, which would tell you 0.16 or 16 hundredths of 5,000. You can multiply it or use a calculator, and that would give you $800 that you'd need to set aside for taxes. You could look at your circle graph to determine your amount for food. So if food is 14% of your budget, you would take 14% of 5,000, so that means to multiply, and that would give you $700 in food, and we had used our table to know that it was 14%. In the same way, if we know savings is $400, we could say 400 out of 5,000. Remember, it's a part to total. Divide by 100 would give you 4 out of 50, which would give you 8 out of 100, which would tell you that that would be 8% of your total budget. Budgets were often shown in circle graphs with 100%. So if this is the Jones family and they have a monthly budget of $6,000, use the circle graph to figure out how much do they spend on food in a month and in a year. So find food, it's 12% of their budget, so we know it's going to be 12% of their $6,000 budget. So 0.12, 12 hundredths of $6,000 would give them $720 each month for food. If they want to know how much in a year, we'll do 720 times 12 months, and that would give them a budget of $8,640 for the year for food. You might see a comparison question like this: how much more do they spend on food than on clothing in a month? So let's find clothing. Clothing is at 7%. So we know clothing is 7% of the 6,000. Remember, when you change this percent to a decimal, it's going to be 0.07 times 6,000, which would give you $420 on clothing. So our food is $720. We already knew that from the one above. Minus $420 on clothing gives you a difference of $300 more per month.